to the bold analysis. If the 6 boys who were abducted in December are dead, then save the parents and the siblings and the family, the entire families, the agony of spending their little resources, moving from one mortuary after the other countrywide, looking for their children, because I think they need to give it a closure so that the country can have the right discourse. I looked at today, during the burial of Wetangula's mother in Bungoma, and I listened to the shameful remarks. Allow me to use the word shameful intentionally. The shameful remarks from the political elites. The level of the narrative spin by the state agencies is something that is very worrying, because we cannot engage in blame game and name calling at the point the parents are looking for their children. During that burial, I want us to start by first looking at this 1-second video.
Mheshimiwa Wetangula, magavana wenzangu ambao wako hapa,
yes, hello, this is our mother's funeral. If you came to mourn with us, we don't want that unnecessary and unfriendly noise. Wewe.
George Natembeya, the Trans Nzoia governor, has not been in good terms with Wetangula. But he said he was a member, he's been a friend of that family. And while there, of course, the state planted classified audience, a section of the crowd there, so that they can heckle down Natembeya. And it took, and I realized there, it took the intervention of Wetangula's sister to silence those women. And Lusaka was just standing there while all that kind of heckling was going on. But then after that, I really realized that I listened to the narrative by Ichun'gwa, the attack of Ichun'gwa on Natembeya. What Natembeya told the presidents on abductions did not warrant that kind of attack from Ichun'gwa.
For a leader to stand here and tell you kwamba people are abducting themselves and they're killing themselves, I think it's unfortunate. It's not for these hallowed grounds. Our children are getting lost, they're being abducted, wengine wanauawa. That's the position. We should not cover up the basic truth. Rais mwenyewe amesema kwamba utasimamisha hii maneno. Tunataka mambo ya abduction nifanye nini? Ikwisha tu. Because this Kenya is enough for us. Watoto wanatukana na watu kwa mitandao. Hata mimi nikifungua my WhatsApp, my groups ambazo niko pale, for every 2 comments, every 10 comments, 8 of them ni matusi. Wanatukana vibaya sana. That one needs to change. But if it can't change, people should not be killed because of that.
And in fact, if you are keen, you will realize when Natembeya mentioned this issue of abductions, the crowd went frenzy. And the crowd was in agreement with what Natembeya was saying. I think it is this reaction because Natembeya did not use harsh words. He did not speak in anger. He actually echoed what the newspapers are reporting, what the Gazette is writing, what different leaders, what different stakeholders have been saying, that abductions just need to stop. But that level of the approval, the message approval by the audience is what did not go well with the state. Ichun'gwa made a scathing attack on Natembeya, and I want us to interrogate this because I believe that from Bungoma, Ichun'gwa and Atwoli needed to go straight to be summoned to DCI so that they can actually tell us those who abducted the 6 boys in December.
Alipofanya makosa kutaka kuwa mkubwa sana kuliko wenzake na mkamtoa nje, sasa yeye ndio kiongozi wa incitements. Your Excellency, even the abductions, sisi tuko na record, mimi nafanya na vyama vingi vya duniani. Kuna watu wanajiabduct ili wapate pesa kutoka kwa Amnesty International and other organizations that support civil societies. Let's not do that to incite and to inflame the country.
Mzee Atwoli hapa ni mzee. Papa Atwoli ni mzee. He's an elder in this region. Na hawa wananchi wanamheshimu sababu ni mzee. Huyu sio mzee wa kusimama mbele ya halaiki ya wananchi kuongea uongo. Yaseme na watu wanajiabduct. And it is not to say, Your Excellency, there are no abductions. Abductions are there. Governor Natembeya, if you know the people abducting people, you are an officer wa ngao. Wewe umekuwa ni regional commissioner, peana habari kwa idara ya DCI wachunguze wale wanashika watu. Lakini usije kukemea mzee Atwoli hapa sababu wamesema, na ni kweli huko Nairobi iko kijana amejificha, wakati DCI amesema ako wanted, akajitokeza sasa akasema nitajipeleka na mawakili kwa DCI. But anajificha ili aseme ameabductiwa. I want to ask you, Governor Natembeya, you were commissioner the other day when hundreds of people were kidnapped, abducted and killed in Kerio Valley na wakatupwa mili yao hapa River Yala, wewe ukiwa regional commissioner Rift Valley. Kwani siku hiyo haukujua maisha ya wananchi ni maisha? Si tuambiane ukweli jameni? Tuambiane ukweli, tusiambiane. Sababu siasa mnazofanya, Governor Natembeya, nikwambie leo mchana dhahiri, siasa mnazofanya za kugawa watu kwa misingi ya ukabila, mambo hizo siasa zimekoma na hautafaulu nazo. Yule aliyekuwa kiongozi wako wa siasa za ukabila, aliyekuwa naibu wa rais, huyo ndiye mwenye kupanga mambo ya abductions ili awekelee huyu William Ruto. Tunawajua, tunawaona mchana, tutawatangaza mchana hadharani.
I think we can do better. It is a bit disrespectful and undermining for the leader in the caliber of Atwoli to take and stand in a microphone and say that Kenyans are abducting themselves for money. You know, these 6 boys that have been abducted, you want to tell me these boys abducted themselves so that they can get money? And if you are abducted, then there are those who have normally gone through that process and they lose their lives. Do they get money? Is the motivation money? Someone in the caliber of Atwoli can do better. But then listen to Ichun'gwa. Ichun'gwa is today telling the country that the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is leading the abduction squad because he wants to taint the name of government. You know, and that this begs the question. The parents, of course, this was a response. This one is in response to the dossier by Rigathi that government, there is some office somewhere, there is some building somewhere coordinated by another senior officer who is leading these abductions. This one has been said by Ichun'gwa. Rigathi said this last week. So, Ichun'gwa, and I want to say this, Rigathi do not have the burden of proof. The DCI, the NIS, all the state agencies work under the state. Ichun'gwa should be told, the parents, this is an insult to the parents. The parents are not looking for the abductor. The president has admitted that state agencies have some responsibility, have a question to answer. The parents are looking for their children. And if you know that Rigathi is leading that abduction, then you can save the country big time by giving that information to the investigative agencies. I think that's what Ichun'gwa should do. But engaging in a political charade, just because you have some few people that were clapping, if you compare the number of people, the kind of reception, the kind of response when Atwoli spoke about abductions, and the response when Ichun'gwa was speaking about the same, they're 2 miles apart. Natumia had the huge approval compared to what I was saying. In fact, it was a diversionary tactic so that the country will talk about Ichun'gwa and Natembeya clash. We are not talking about that clash. What we're talking about here is, if you know it is Rigathi, then tell the country. The same with Atwoli. If you're helping the president that you're seated next to there, then you should help the president by telling the president who is abducting these children, because it is the president who is receiving the blames. And if it is Rigathi, you know, Ichun'gwa wanted to achieve some objective there. 2 objectives. Number 1, he wants to create an impression that some leaders under Uhuru era are the ones doing those abductions. And so, if people were abducted during Uhuru era, is Kenya Kwanza forgetting that they pledged that that was not going to happen? If our memory serves us right, Kenya Kwanza gave a promise that the era of abductions is gone. And Dennis Itumbi used to run a hashtag called "Freedom is here." So what changed? Kingi and the political class is blaming the parents on how the young people are using social media, and saying that, of course, they're trying to profile and say, you know, bad use of social media. But at the same time, they're saying it's Rigathi that the political elites around the president are saying these young people disrespected the president. They're already being accused in the public court. They're already being prosecuted in the public court that you guys disrespected the president. But at the same time, Ichun'gwa is saying, look here, it is Rigathi who is abducting. So let's get an answer here. Is Rigathi abducting leading the abductions because these young men disrespected the president? Is it in the interest of Rigathi when the president is disrespected? Or is Rigathi still in government? We can do better. And at least show some respect to the families. The inconsistency in this whole discourse is making the state, is rendering the state a key suspect. The level of inconsistency the way someone is not sure. Just today, the president was actually saying that police IG boss should give answers to those questions of abductions. The other day, the police had said, now look here, the police are saying we don't know. We are not the ones. IG is saying we are not the one. It's not within our purview. But the political class know. Can the majority of the National Assembly knows. You know, Ichun'gwa is the majority leader in the National Assembly. Unless he's playing the political picky-ponky that Rigathi is behind it. We're not saying it's not difficult for, but Rigathi is a private citizen. The state has all the intelligence around it. If someone outside government is doing it to taint the name of government, what's stopping them from arresting that person? This flip-flopping and lack of a stand on it only shows these three things. Number one, the post-abduction plan was mishandled. I'm afraid some of these boys might have gone through some torture or profiled to death and may never come true and may never come to be seen. So they fear if they come out tortured, probably it will really affect the country. There is an attempt to delink the state from the abductions. I don't know whether the likes of Atwoli have really an idea what they're talking about. You know, I don't know. Of course they know, but because, you know, I can't even explain. You can suspend your conscience just because, you know, is there any criminal charge? Does those people who abducted them, do they have some criminal charges that these fellows can face? Of course, now that they've been abducted, you know, if they were to be taken to court, the law says 48 hours, and that's why we are now using the word abduction. If they were arrested, they could have been taken to court. But because they're still missing, then it is right to say they have been abducted. If they appear, if they are found somewhere, what exactly are the criminal charges to be leveled against them? I think as a country, Ichun'gwa and Atwoli owes this country an explanation as to who is abducting or who abducted these young boys. As a country, we cannot afford to play around with such an emotive factor in the altar of politics. Politics aside, let's speak to what truly matters on these abductions.